Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to be right back with today's guest, but as always, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. You've heard me say before, every single one of these companies is one that I used as an athletic director, and they're all great companies. I really recommend that you check them out. So listen to our shout outs, then listen to our interview, then go and visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. We'd like to thank Sideline Interactive indoor score tables and video boards. Go to their website and you can schedule a live web demo to see their products in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com for more information. We'd also like to say thank you to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an AD, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches, our student athletes, even our parents just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, turn your school into a Huddle school. We want to say thanks to Snap Mobile, particularly Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. We used it at our school with tremendous success, and so will you. Check out all of their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it, and it's Snap Raise. We'd like to say thank you to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all the teams, for all the different events, or show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to their website and take a look at their interactive touchscreen video consoles. You place one of their units in your gym lobby or your main school hallway, it's going to be like a magnet for kids, for coaches, how about parents and sponsors? The website is vitalsignswalloffame.com. You're going to be glad you did. We also want to say thank you to Gipper. Go to gipper.com and let their team turn you into a social media marketing genius. Whether it's a simple post to celebrate a victory or an entire newsletter to showcase the great things your athletic department is doing, the team at Gipper will have you up and running in no time. It's professional graphic design made easy. Go to gipper.com for all the details. We'd like to thank Home Campus. Home Campus is a platform you're going to use every single day. It's also the official platform for a number of states, thousands of ADs, and even if your state uses a different platform, you can be a home campus school. Their athletic eligibility and clearance platform alone is a game changer. Go to homecampus.com for more information, and don't forget to mention the podcast. We'd also like to say thanks to Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. My assistant AD, along with thousands of others, got his master's through the Ohio program. And while you earn your degree through the Ohio program, you're also completing 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Check out Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Let's also say thank you to Hometown. Hometown's changing the game for schools and organizations with their suite of solutions that includes things like, well, digital ticketing, that's no surprise, but how about fee-free fundraising, athletic website construction, and the list just goes on. Whether you're an athletic director or a principal, Hometown is going to help you save time, raise more money, and bring your community together. That's hometown.com. We'd also like to thank Athletic Surveys. You know, at my school, we use surveys for everything, for student athletes, for coaches, even parents. And here's the cool thing. The information that came back, almost always over the top positive. We still got to hear from those squeaky wheel parents, but the survey allowed us to hear the concerns and keep them from turning into something big. But having all of that positive feedback, usually 98%, incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with a frustrated parent, maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We're staying in Florida and we're going to be visiting with Joshua Havens. Joshua is I can say, he's the new AD at Lake Wales High School. Of course, that's in Lake Wales, Florida. Has a tremendous background in athletics. We're excited to hear from him. So, Joshua Havens, welcome to the Educational AD Podcast.
Thanks, Jake. Happy to be here.
Well, you and I connected through our mutual friend, Ariana Seidel. She's the previous AD, and she's kind of relocated back to the Midwest where she's from. But she took the time to introduce the two of us and let me know that you were now on the job. And excited to have you on to share your journey. That's where we always like to start, let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So, what's the Joshua Havens origin story?
So I grew up north in Chicago, and then middle school and high school, we actually moved to Michigan. That's where my love for sports kind of came about, playing Little League baseball, Little League soccer. Soccer was the main thing. Golf, loved all that. And then actually before my senior year in high school, I moved down to Florida. Dad got a new job down here. Continued playing high school sports and was lucky to get a scholarship to play soccer at Warner University, and it's been great. So
Well, I always like to, dive deep. Let's go all the way back to those Michigan days. I guess first of all, Wolverine or Spartan.
Wolverines,
Okay,
100%.
100%. I love it. Um, Growing up in that part of the country, you had all four seasons. Was it? Were you basketball in the winter, or were you playing hockey out on the streets, or were you doing it all?
So mostly soccer in the fall, then baseball as well. Wintertime, yeah, you can't do those sports outside. So it was basketball in the gym. Um, Never really got into the ice hockey part, but street hockey in the neighborhood always. Yeah. So I was outside as much as I could.
Okay. Now, is that the neighborhood, setting up the goals or the garbage cans, whatever it was, backyard football and soccer? What are some of those memories that you can share with our
Oh
listeners?
yeah, for sure. It was home run derby in the backyard with a tennis ball and a bat, and setting up the hockey in the street, playing with my brother and the buddies in the neighborhood, and just doing everything we could to be outside. And it was always my parents' rule that when the street lights came on, it was time to come in for dinner. So, but we'd be out there full all the time, setting everything up. It was fantastic.
Now, that is so refreshing to hear. Now, obviously I'm a lot older than you. When we get another old timer on, we talk about when we were kids. We got on our bikes in the morning, and our parents probably didn't know, and I say this with love, didn't even care where we were as long as we were out of the house. But you knew, you're home at dinner, then back outside till the street lights come on. Is that kind of how it was for you growing up?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like I said, everything we could do to be outside. My brother and I, we were always outside, whether it was my parents drop us off at the local golf course and we go play, and then we call them when we're done, or we'd be playing basketball in the street or go to the school and play. It's just sports was such a good opportunity for us to just kind of get away from everything and just play sports and just have fun with our friends. And we'll play basketball and we'll try to hit buzzer beaters in the NBA finals, or
Oh
we're
yeah.
playing it just building all those things that every kid does that plays sports to one day hopefully be a professional athlete. So it's sports are a fantastic part of my life.
Oh no, absolutely. I remember those driveway basketball games, backyard football games like crazy. Let's go and transition into, let's say, more organized sports. Soccer obviously was your big sport as an athlete. Did you do other sports in high school, or were you strictly a soccer guy?
So soccer was the main one. Also golf in high school. I played golf my first 2 years. Also played baseball first 2 years of high school. But then after those first 2 years, I kind of realized that soccer was going to be my way to go to college. So I really focused on that and started playing in the competitive realm for soccer as well as in the high school realm. But soccer was the main one.
Now, again, soccer these days is, the club and the travel experience is certainly a big part of the game. Were you strictly a travel player? Did you play for your high school team? Were you able to make that work back in the day?
So back when I played, I was mostly playing for high school. We played a little bit of travel, but now with the shift, now with the recruiting and everything like that, nowadays most of the recruiting is done at the travel level and things like that. But I still um, loved my high school soccer days, and it was fantastic playing for the school, being able to put a jersey on that represents your school, and just playing with the buddies that you go to school with every day. It was great.
Now, again, I got to ask the question because when I was in high school, I went to high school and college in the 70s. So, even travel basketball was just getting started back then. There was no high school soccer in Oregon or Washington where I was at until the late 70s. You mentioned it, playing for your school, playing with your friends that you had come up through the ranks with. Um, why can't a good soccer player just play high school? Why is there this feeling that they have to go to the showcases? You and I know you're a longtime coach. Only 6% of the kids are going to play college ball at any level. So, why such this emphasis on, let's say club soccer? There, I'm a crotchety old man right now.
No, yeah, I think it's exposure for the athletes. Like I think that competitive soccer and competitive sports in general can and should work hand in hand with high school sports. I think that you get like I said, more exposure for the competitive athletes that want to go to the bigger tournaments and travel a little bit more and get to see those out of town college coaches and things like that. But that could also transition into the high school season and still they create a name for themselves in high school and they can still get recruited from colleges and we're going through the core course GPA and everything like that at the high school. So I think that competitive sports and high school sports can and should work hand in hand.
No, you're absolutely right, and that's a great answer to a loaded question. Um, let's go and get back to you. You moved to Florida your senior year. That had to be a little bit, I guess, disruptive for your plans. Sounds like it all worked out well. What are your memories of that time, that senior year coming to Florida?
Yeah, so when I was in high school in Michigan, we were lucky enough to have a student athletic trainer program. So I would take a class throughout the day with our certified athletic trainer on staff and then learn how to tape ankles and learn how to tape wrists and do the basic first aid. So then we were sent out to kind of do home volleyball games and things like that. So that was one thing that transitioned down to Florida was the high school that I attended had an athletic trainer program as well as the student athletic. So I got to stay in that realm and help with the football team and things like that. But it was difficult moving before a senior year in high school. But everything worked out in the end. Athletics was still a big part of the high school that I went to. So, and it ended up I got the college scholarship, and that's at that point in my life, that was what I was shooting for. So that's all that mattered at that point was getting that college scholarship.
Now, I'm guessing, you mentioned Warner College. I'm guessing those coaches hadn't seen or heard of you back in Michigan, or maybe they had. How did that all play out?
Right. So I was actually late to the recruiting game coming down to Florida because then I missed that junior year kind of when coaches start looking at players and things like that. But I had a fantastic assistant soccer coach at the high school that really kind of put my name out there and really went to bat for me with the local colleges in the area and things like that. And then I kind of did my own recruiting. I would email out to coaches just looking for a tryout, looking for what they had. Had a couple tryouts at a couple bigger universities down in Miami, Barry University down in
Oh,
Miami
yeah.
and things like that. But the feeling of Warner and it was a good fit athletically and I had that home kind of feeling as well as academically. So it it worked out and Warner was a fantastic choice for me.
Oh, wow. Again, I've heard nothing but good things about folks that have gone there and people I know that work there. Um, let's go and take a break. For our listeners, we're visiting today with Joshua Havens. He's the director of athletics at Lake Wales High School. That's right here in Florida. We're going to take a break, but we're coming back with more. So please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive for their support of the podcast. You've heard me say before that probably one of the best purchases I ever made as an AD was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Of course, we use it for home games, but we also used it for pep rallies, for signing ceremonies. Their products are incredibly versatile and their customer service just fantastic. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Schedule that live web demo today. Sidelineinteractive.com. We also want to say thank you to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school and our coaches, all of our coaches, just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Our student athletes loved the videos and our parents loved the streaming, but there's a whole lot more. Go to huddle.com. Find out all the ways that they can help your program. And don't forget to mention the podcast. That's huddle.com. You're going to be glad you did.
Hey Jake, just wanted to let you know also that Lake Wales is a huddle school. So I agree, it is a fantastic tool and cameras that we use. Our football team uses it. We have one in the gym, basketball, volleyball. They all use it as well. And we're recently adding it to baseball and our softball field. So Huddle is a fantastic platform that Lake Wales High School uses.
I just love it when our guests say that. Of course, they're sponsors, but again, they're sponsors because I use the program. And you mentioned the basketball and volleyball coaches. I just always love to walk through the gym and see the coaches with their cell phones out programming the camera because they wanted to video practice. Thanks for sharing that. I'm going to pass that on to our good friends at Huddle. Hey, for our listeners, our guest today is Joshua Havens. He's the director of athletics at Lake Wales High School. That's right here in Florida. Josh, you took our listeners up through your journey to Warner. Share a little bit about that experience as a collegiate athlete and kind of how you got started on your path that it started with coaching and then ended up with being an AD. But let's just focus on the college part for now.
Okay. So, yep, I went to Warner University on a soccer scholarship. Um, and then met great people along the way. I mean, I have my brother went to Warner as well. He was a couple years behind me, and I met two friends that are now brothers. We hang out all the time. We do sports together still. So they're a big part of my life. So meeting people that I don't think I would have had the opportunity to meet is one big piece of going to Warner. But on the athletic side, I was able to play soccer my freshman and sophomore year. And then after those 2 years, I actually got hurt and had surgery on both of my knees. So that kind of ended my athletic career. And that's kind of when I got started into coaching.
Yeah, you always hate to hear about, the injuries, ending a career. I always say somewhat jokingly that injuries and a lack of talent kept me out of the National Football League. But as you were making that transition from athlete to post athlete, what was some of the coursework? What were some of the people that you met? How did you get on that path that led to your early coaching career?
So luckily that the when I was attending Warner, and I did get started into coaching, right across the street was a middle school that Coach Arian Seidel, happened to be the athletic director at. And she called me up one day and was like, "Hey, we're starting soccer program at this middle school. Would you like to be our coach?" So I was kind of hesitant at first, not really having to coach. Playing soccer is one thing, and then getting into coaching as a college student was a different thing. But I give Coach A all the credit for getting me started into coaching. It was great. It was going through time management. It was going through using soccer as a tool to teach middle schoolers about life and how to prepare for their academics later on. So it was great to start off kind of at the middle school realm coaching under Coach A. So that was great.
All right. I always ask this question, going from player to coach, you knew, you know, strategy and tactics and all that stuff. But what were some things that you found out, the expression, you don't know what you don't know? What did
Mhm.
you find out that you didn't know about being a coach?
Definitely one of the things being a coach, and especially, I mean, all of the years I've been coaching was on the female side, was dealing with 27 or so different females, kind of their personalities. And then some days were good days and some days were bad days. But it's just once we were able to all get on the same page and really create that culture, that any great team is going to have a culture, then it really the girls started buying in, and it was a fantastic experience.
Oh yeah, and that's again 27 middle school girl personalities. Yeah, just that's a whole different show. Obviously, you had some success. Coach A saw something in you, and so did you end up following her directly to Lake Wales to coach there, or how did that all progress?
So when I first started at the middle school level, then the high school was actually looking for an assistant coach for their girls soccer team. So I got in touch with their head coach and started just kind of doing some assistant coach work for the varsity team and the JV team. And then our head coach actually moved on to coach at the local university. So then I kind of took over the head coaching from there and was very successful coaching. And then it just, like I said, Coach A was fantastic. And I actually started here at Lake Wales before Coach A with Coach Pavey, who was there. And then Coach A took over for Coach Pavey. And it was just Coach A and I, we've been working together for years, and it's been fantastic. I owe her a ton of credit for everything that I've been able to do with my coaching career, and then now transitioning into athletic director.
Yeah, and again, for new listeners, you hear us talk about Coach A. Ariane Seidel, she's the former AD at Lake Wales High School. She was on the podcast. Go back and listen to her episode. She was also part of our book, All Star Athletic Director, 10 great Florida women athletic directors. So obviously, we're giving a lot of shout outs to Coach A. Um, Making that jump from middle school to high school assistant, then high school assistant to head coach. Let's go back to that same question. You don't know what you don't know. Anything jump out at you as that first year as a head varsity coach at the high school level?
Yeah, I think it was more so now at the high school level, you're competing for district championships. That kind of intensity kind of got cranked up a little bit. So you're fighting for a district title, and then you're looking at a regional title and things like that. So that intensity did kind of get cranked up a little bit. But that comes with the job. Also, kind of now you're in charge of getting your transportation together. You're getting your scheduling together. You're kind of doing the ins and outs. That it's not just show up at a field and roll the balls out. Okay, let's do our drills and our practices. There is some more behind the scenes work with the high school to create a successful program. You're doing off-season workouts. You're doing making sure grades for the girls are staying up and everything like that. So there is more than the on-the-field coaching aspect.
Oh no, absolutely, and that's just part of the journey that any coach takes. That first head coaching job. All right. In our next segment, I'm going to ask you to share all things Lake Wales High School, but let's talk about that step from head coach to now, what I like to say, the other side of the desk, becoming the athletic director. How did that all play out?
So I was head coaching, and then Coach A had a wonderful opportunity to actually move closer to family back home in Kansas to become an athletic director. So the position came open here, and I applied and was lucky enough to get it. And I was lucky enough to have the month of this past June, to work with Coach A for a month and kind of have her give me all the ins and outs, and just kind of run me through her basic day schedule and things like that. But yeah, it is a different realm than coaching. I'm worried about one team. Now I've got 27 teams here at the high school that I'm worrying about: football and volleyball during the season, and cross country and bowling and swimming right now in the fall. But I love it. Sports are such a big part of my life, and giving kids an opportunity to be successful in their realm of sports is fantastic.
Oh, I love it. I'm excited to hear some of the things that you're doing. We'll save that for our next segment. Let's go and take another break. Again, our guest today is Joshua Havens. He's the director of athletics at Lake Wales High School. That's right here in Florida. Let's take that break, but we're coming back. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We also want to say thank you to our good friends at Snap Mobile, particularly Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and then been disappointed in the results? Well, I'm telling you, those days are over. Go to snapraise.com. We used it at our school with tremendous success, and so will you. Our coaches loved it, our parents loved it. I'm telling you, it works. Go to snapraise.com. Check out all of their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it, and it's Snap Raise. We'd also like to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all the teams, for all the different events, or show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and take a look at their interactive touch screen. That's right, touch screen video consoles. You put one of their units in your gym lobby or your main school hallway, it's going to be like a magnet for kids, for coaches, even parents and sponsors. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. You're going to be very glad you did. And we want to say thanks to Gipper. Go to Gipper.com and let their team turn you into a social media marketing genius. Whether it's a simple social media post to celebrate a victory or an entire newsletter to showcase all the great things that your athletic department is doing, the team at Gipper is going to have you up and running in no time. It's professional graphic design made easy. Go to Gipper.com. And as always, don't forget to mention the podcast. That's Gipper.com.
Jake, we actually use Gipper as well at Lake Wales High School. It is a tremendous social media design with layouts that we use, makes my job a lot easier. We use them for game day publications. We use them for our weekly schedules that I create, as well as schedules in general. So Gipper is fantastic social media platform that I highly recommend to everybody if they're not using it now.
Oh, wow. Thanks again for sharing that. Um, we know the kids love to see the social media posts, game day announcements or post game results. Do you get much feedback from your parents or community members about the Gipper presence?
They like it. They like seeing the different designs, and then we try to get like game day photos and add those to the flyers. So we really make it relevant to that team. If it's volleyball, we try to get volleyball photos. If it's our football team, we try to get football to kind of give those kids an extra shout out too on social media that hey, you were on the game day flyer for this week. And so they really love it. And especially we do the weekly schedules also. Like I'll create a week of our home events and away events, and then we'll send that out to the staff so they're up to date with what our athletes are doing and what our teams are doing.
Yeah. And again, it's just, as I like to say in the commercials, it's so easy, even I can use it, an old guy like me. So thanks for sharing that. Um, we're visiting today with Joshua Havens. He's the director of athletics at Lake Wales High School. Josh, share with our listeners a little bit about, where is Lake Wales, in relationship to, Florida. What are some of the programs? You mentioned 27 different teams, but share a little bit about what Lake Wales High School is.
So Lake Wales, we're located in Central Florida. We're about an hour to an hour and a half south of Orlando. Yeah, like you said, we have 27 teams. Um, Fantastic programs. I was lucky enough to come in where our programs are already competing at a high level. We've added some that have kind of we're going to go back to having wrestling this year. It's kind of fell off last year, but yeah, our all of our sports, football, volleyball, both we have boys volleyball as well, and then swimming, golf, boys and girls golf, bowling. And then when we move to the winter, we got boys and girls basketball, boys and girls soccer, weightlifting for boys and girls. And then the springs, baseball, softball, beach volleyball, boys and girls lacrosse. We also do competitive cheer. So yeah, we've got 27 sports that are competing at high levels, and it's great to just go and watch all of our athletes compete.
Now, as a longtime football coach and athletic director, it was a constant, I don't want to say battle, but it was an awareness that yeah, I was the football coach, but I'm also the athletic director, and so I'm making sure that um, some parents are always going to say, "Oh, he's just a football coach. That's the only sport he cares about." It wasn't true. We cared about all the teams, and we did everything we could to support those teams. Are you, or did you get any of that? Oh, Josh is just a soccer coach. That's the only sport he's going to care about. Was that a thing?
No, it really wasn't because I said during the interview process coming in that if I were able to get the athletic director job, then I would stop coaching because I would want to focus on all sports. So that's what I've done. I've stuck to my word and what I said. So I'm no longer, we've got a great girls soccer coach that's actually a teacher here on campus. So I'm focusing on all sports. Um, no preferences. I just love sports in general. So I'm going to go to as many games this year as I can.
All right, you opened the door for one of my favorite questions. As the head soccer coach, when you were the soccer coach, you did not teach on campus. And you just mentioned you've got a great soccer coach who does teach on campus.
Mhm.
I think most of us would agree that teaching on campus can be a tremendous advantage and a tremendous plus, let's say from the AD perspective, maybe from all perspectives. What percentage of your head coaches are on campus employees?
I would say close to 80-85% are on campus. We do a good job of finding staff members on campus that are also qualified coaches. I think that's a huge plus to any coach that's applying for a job because then they can interact with their athletes daily outside of the practice realm. And they can, I just think it's huge to have our coaches on campus.
Oh no, absolutely. And you're a great example. During my career as an AD, I had a number of tremendous off-campus coaches that did phenomenal jobs. But I think all things being equal, you'd love to see those, especially those head coaches on
Mhm.
campus. Let's go and talk Florida centric. I know this is your first, gig as an athletic director, but in Florida, our athletic directors, I jokingly referred to in Florida, we've had the transfer portal for years because of the state legislature. It allows kids to freely, ping pong from one school to the other. NIL is now a thing in Florida, as it is in many other states. Um, are these things, and in addition to that, you still have scheduling and officials and kids and coaches and parents, all the things that go with the AD job. Um, has have any of those other, let's say, distractions reared their head for you in your first few months as the AD at Lake Wales, or has it been, I don't know, smooth sailing? Is it ever?
Yeah, I wouldn't say smooth sailing, but I haven't really had come across any of the big issues with the Florida NAIL and really transfers and things like that. I'm sure the NAIL is coming. Well, we've got some great athletes, especially on our football team, um, but not really anything major here in the first couple months.
Yeah, I've sat in on a number of sessions in the last couple of years, whether it's the FHSAA or FACA, where NIL has come up, and I think it's equal parts. The sky is falling, and at the same time, I asked this question in open forum. There are like 80 athletic directors and coaches, all Florida people in the room. I said, "How many of you raise your hand if you've had a D1 full ride kid during your career, any sport?" And out of those 80 some hands, I think there were 5 hands that went up. And I go, you're going to have even fewer NIL kids. Okay. That's the impact that NIL is going to have. Is it a thing? Yeah, it is. But I just think so many people are going nuts over it. And it doesn't, it's not, in my opinion, it's not going to have that big of an impact. Agree or disagree? I'm putting you on the spot.
I agree. I agree with you. I think that it was rolled out and there was maybe not many guidelines for it. And so everybody, like you said, initially gets rolled out and then the sky is falling and things like that. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be a huge major issue in the high school realm. It potentially could, but I agree with you. I don't think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. I think for Florida, the potential for, let's say issues is there because of the ease of transfer. What's to stop a an unscrupulous booster from throwing, just used to be, money under the table. Now it's NIL at a kid to transfer because it's so easy. But again, I just don't see that sort of thing happening. Um, let's go and look at Lake Wales High School. Again, tremendous school, tremendous program. I know you're going to do well. Um, we always talk about best practices, and one of the best practices we tell new ADs, don't come in and change everything. Watch for a while, get a feel for it. Having been on the job for all of, let's say, 2 or 3 months, okay, is there anything that you could see in years 2, 3, 4, 5 that you might like to add to or tweak at Lake Wales?
Yeah, I completely agree with what you said, and that was my motto coming in was really if it's not broke, I'm not going to come in and try to fix it. So that's what we've really kind of kept the same format for how we set up home football games and how we do ticketing and how we do things like that is if it's working, then I'm not going to come in and change everything. I'm perfectly fine keeping everything the same. Um, I don't have any big major things off the top of my head in the next couple years. I'm sure that some things will arise. Um, Definitely looking at football lights at our stadium, like they definitely will need to be replaced, and that's at the top of my list and things like that to do. But when I came in, the procedures and the policies were already so ingrained in all of our coaches and our athletes that it was a pretty smooth transition, and so they're all flowing under the same guidelines that it was a great opportunity to just kind of just keep it going in that direction.
And again, that's a great way to come in. Let's let's have a great year. We'll all get a feel for what's going on, and then we can look to try to take. I always use the analogy, good to great. Hey, we're doing a good job. How can we get better? Um, we'll do this at the end of the podcast too. But if one of our listeners, maybe another first year AD, wanted to reach out and pick your brain a little bit, or just add you to their network, what's the
Mhm.
best way that our listeners can connect with Joshua Havens?
Definitely connect with me. You can connect with me through email. I'd be happy to share my email address now or later on, whenever.
Yeah, go ahead and
But I'm
share it now.
pretty so it's Joshua.Havens at lwcharterschools.com.
Okay.
And I've the type of mindset for an athletic director where I'm not one that's going to just hold everything tight to the vest. Like it's always, I've been in AD meetings through Polk County, and it's been fantastic to be able to sit in meetings with Dan Talbot, who's director of Polk County, and learn from him. And it's we're all in it for the kids. We're every athletic director is in it for the kids in Polk County and all over the state of Florida and all over the country. That we're all just trying to do the best for our athletes. So if we can all help each other and not having to reinvent the wheel, I'm a firm believer in that. So anything that I'm doing or any of our policies, if there's anybody out there that is interested in learning, I'm an open book and will help you any way that I can.
And thanks for giving our good friend Dan Talbot a shout out too. No, Dan does a great job. Um, let's go and take another break. I know that's shocking to our regular listeners, but we are coming back with more with our guest Joshua Havens from Lake Wales High School. Please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to thank our great friends at Hometown for their support of the podcast. Hometown is changing the game for schools and organizations with their suite of solutions that includes things like, well, big surprise, digital ticketing. They're still the leading digital ticketing provider for schools and colleges. But how about athletic website construction, fee free fundraising, and a whole lot more? Whether you're an athletic director, head coach, even a principal, Hometown is going to help you save time, raise more money, and bring your community together. That's hometown.com. Check them out today. We also want to say thank you to Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. My assistant athletic director, along with thousands of others, got his master's through the Ohio program, and it was a tremendous experience. It's very affordable, just 20 months, totally online. And while you're completing your master's degree, you're also completing 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Check out Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. We also want to thank our good friends at Home Campus. Home Campus is one of those platforms that you're going to use every single day, whether it's scheduling, rosters, results. For me, the student athlete eligibility and clearance platform alone was a game changer. Yeah, truly have to see it to believe it. Go to homecampus.com for more information. That's homecampus.com. And don't forget to mention the podcast.
Jake, Lake Wales actually uses home campus as well for our athletic clearance. As a new athletic director, it made my job so much easier to roll out a QR code and the step-by-step process for my parents and athletes to turn their physicals and all of their NFHS video certificates in and all of that information. So it really is a great platform, not only for athletic clearance, but also scheduling and everything else. So it does make athletic director job for athletic clearance a lot easier.
I appreciate you sharing that, and I cannot agree more. I still remember the day, and this was a few years ago, getting rid of that last manila folder with physicals from the previous year because we had completely converted to the PDFs and the scanned athletic clearance, and it's just such a game changer. Appreciate you sharing that. One more time for listeners. We're visiting today with Joshua Havens. He's the director of athletics at Lake Wales High School here in Florida. Josh, you and I were talking during the break. Sportsmanship is one of those topics. It's one of those big items that ads, hopefully coaches, are also pushing, but still seems to be a challenge at some schools, even in some states here in Florida. The Talking with their executive director a while back, ejections are still way too high for coaches as well as for kids. What are some things that you do at Lake Wales High School to kind of promote and, for lack of a better word, enforce great sportsmanship?
So one of the good things that we do with all of our teams is we make it mandatory right now for all Lake Wales High School athletes and coaches to watch the NFHS sportsmanship video. That we make that mandatory before their season starts, just so we're all on the same page of how we conduct ourselves um, in games, how our coaches conduct ourselves in games. And I will say, as a former coach, like every coach gets caught up in the heat of the moment in a game, and the call didn't go our way or something like that. But they're also we all know the line, and that line shouldn't be crossed, and occasionally does get crossed. But we do have wonderful coaches that we're accepting to learning more about sportsmanship and then passing that information on to their athletes. So all of our coaches here do a great, all of our male coaches do a fantastic job of helping mold boys into men during these high school years. They're worried about the athletics, but they're more worried about them off of the field. And same thing with our female coaches, helping those female athletes navigate through their high school career. And we have tremendous coaching staff, and so we take sportsmanship very seriously at Lake Wales High School.
I'm throwing you a curveball here along that same line. You mentioned that you work with the coaches, you work with the kids. It's part of the culture at Lake Wales. Talking about coaches, one of the things that I think athletic directors really like to do, but sometimes don't get an opportunity to do because of all the other tasks, is professional development for their coaches. I know you just started the job, okay, but what are some things that are on your mind or maybe on your calendar to help your coaches continue to grow in all areas of their coaching role?
Yeah, so every summer we have individual team meetings with all of the coaches. So we set up a schedule throughout the month of July and do team meetings. We kind of recap how their previous season went. And then we kind of talk about what challenges could arise this upcoming season, and as well, and sit with the coaches and kind of just build relationships with them, get learn them outside of the coaching realm, but also set up guest speakers to come talk to us about different scenarios that could arise and different emotions that come with the heat of, I call it the heat of battle in a game and things like that. But we want to have opportunities for all of our coaches to really develop in their profession as a head coach or an assistant coach, and hopefully we're grooming assistant coaches to become successful head coaches. Um, so yeah, it is professional development. We do take it very seriously.
And one of my favorite cliches, I stole it from somebody else, obviously, but I've used it for years, is, when you hire that young coach, whether it's 22 out of college or 42 for first time, but when you hire that coach, they might not walk into your office as a Hall of Fame coach, but with your mentoring and with your leadership, 20 years later, they might walk out as a Hall of Fame coach. So it's really, one of our challenges and one of our great opportunities is try to develop that next generation of great coaches. Good for you. Josh, this has been really cool getting to know you, spending some time. Again, I've always had a soft spot in my heart for Lake Wales High School. But we're not done yet. We always wrap up with the athletic director's toolbox. Now, we've already established you're new to the profession, but I think you know your way around the world of athletics a little bit. So, we're going to take our final break, hear from Athletic Surveys. And when we return, I'm going to challenge you to send out a brand new AD. Sound familiar? On their first job, but I'm only going to let you put 3 tools in their toolbox. So let's take that break. And when we come back, we're going to see what Joshua Havens puts in his new athletic director toolbox. We want to thank Athletic Surveys for sponsoring the AD Toolbox segment. At my school, we use surveys for everything, for student athletes, for coaches, even for parents. And the information that would come back on these surveys was typically over the top positive. We still got to hear from those squeaky wheel parents that we were already hearing from, but the surveys allowed us to address their concerns, keep them from turning into something big. But having all of that positive data, that 98%, incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with a frustrated parent, for maybe your principal or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. Check them out today. Well, it's that time of the podcast. We've been visiting today with Josh Havens, the athletic director at Lake Wales High School right here in Florida. It's his first year as an AD, but he's already doing a great job. And so I figured let's challenge him to send out a brand new AD on their first job. But as always, I'm only going to let him put 3 tools in the toolbox. So, Josh, what 3 items are going to go into your new athletic director toolbox?
Well, first tool that would put in would be relationships. I really think that building relationships with your coaches and with your athletes and with the community is very key. Um, as a coach and as a former PE teacher, it's very hard for me to just sit in my office all day long. So I'm out walking the halls, just getting to know kids. Sometimes we're not even talking sports, but I really think that once the kid feels safe and develops that relationships, then that can take their athletic performance to the next level. Put it that way. The second tool I would do would be communication. I think that a lot of athletic directors will communicate when we need to, but I think communication all the time isn't consistent with our coaches, with our athletes, with our administration, with the community. We're in the job of communicating about when sporting events are, when practices are, when tryouts are, things like that. So I think it's just being somewhat of an open book with a communication piece. Um, and everybody, nobody ever says, "Hey, the athletic director communicates too much with his coaches or communicates with their athletes too much." So I think communication is a big key. The final one I think would be knowledgeable. I think that in an athletic director role, I think it's key to have the mindset of being a lifelong learner. It's not just, okay, I'm an athletic director, now I have all the answers, because that's definitely not true, especially for me right now as a new athletic director. But I'm always trying to learn every day. I'm trying to learn different things about the different sports and diving into the rules, and then also the statewide rules and the statewide rules of what could potentially be coming down the pipeline for our athletes and for our sports. to just develop that lifelong learning where I'm never complacent in the knowledge that I have. I'm always driving for more knowledge. And I think that could really go a long way for athletic directors to consistently keep learning, and in turn to push our coaches to keep learning in their specific sports as well.
Well, I love all three of them. Just so you know, communication has always been, one of the most frequently mentioned tools. So there's something, you're a brand new AD, you already know, what one of the top tools is. But relationships and, education, that phrase, lifelong learner, also just so important. That another cliche. I think it was John Wooden. It's time to leave the game when you think you know everything. So well done. Thanks so much for spending time with our listeners this week. Want to wish you all the best for continued success this year. One more time, if one of our listeners wanted to reach out and connect with you, what's the best way they can get a hold of Joshua Havens?
Best way to get a hold of me would be email address is joshua.havens, Havens, at lwcharterschools.com.
Okay. Well, Josh, thanks again for sharing. Hopefully, we're going to see you in Tampa in December at the NIAAA National Conference. I'm going to guess that might be your first national conference. So let's definitely plan on connecting if you're going to be there. And if there's anything I can do, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Appreciate it, Jake. It's been an honor being on the podcast.
Well, now your tools are going to be in that fourth edition of the Athletic Director's Toolbox, which will be coming out in December. For listeners, we want to say thanks to you for listening and remind you that we upload the Zoom recordings of every interview to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this just about every day. We try to share stories and best practices from the world of athletics. So please join us again on the next episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time.